Okay, so this is a quick video to show you how to use your z-table to find a proportion between two numbers. So this one is what proportion of female walrus weights is between 700 and 800 kilograms. So as always, I'm going to start with shading my graph. So 700 is about here, and then 800 is about here. When we're shading, it doesn't need to be perfect. The idea is just to make sure later when you get your answer that it makes sense with what you shaded. So now that I've kind of seen that, I'm going to go ahead and find my two z-scores, and I'm doing that for each number. So I found a z-score for 700, and then I found a z-score for 800, and I did that separately. So my z-score for 700 was negative 1.67, and then my z-score for 800 was negative 0.18. So once I've found those two z-scores, I'm going to go ahead and go to my z-table right here, and I'm going to look up those two proportions from those two z-scores. So I'm going to start with negative 1.67. So on the negative side, there's negative 1.6 over to the 0.07 column. 0.0475 is my proportion for negative 1.67. And then I'm going to find a proportion for the other z-score, which was negative 0.18. So still on the negative side, there's negative 0.1 all the way over to 8, which is right here, 0.4286. So now that I've found both my z-scores, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my problem. Again, my proportion for the negative 1.67 z-score for the 700 number was 0.0475. And then my proportion for the negative 0.18 z-score was 0.4286. And what I'm going to do from here is a little bit of a change. So I'm just going to subtract these two numbers. The reason that I'm doing that is because if I went ahead and I found the area less than this first one, well, that would be all of the stuff right here. So if I found the area less than 800, that would be that area. And then if I find the area less than 700, that's this area. So by subtracting those two areas, I end up with what I want, which is just this little section right there. So that's why I'm subtracting them. So again, when you're finding the between numbers, all you have to do is find two z-scores, find two proportions, and then subtract those two proportions. And it's always just the bigger proportion minus the smaller proportion. So 0.4286 minus 0.0475, which equals, let me grab my calculator here, 0.3811. So 0.3811 is our proportion of female walruses that weigh between 700 and 800 kilograms. Or again, you could write it as a percent, 38.11% of female walruses weigh between 700 and 800 kilograms.